Okay, week 3, assignment 6. We are going to talk about how to translate verbal phrases into algebraic phrases, meaning taking words and sentences and translating them into equations or expressions that we use in algebra. And one of the biggest things that you'll need to know in order to do that is the vocabulary behind it, meaning if you see a word in an expression, in a verbal expression, knowing what operation that word implies. So there are some words that you will see that are going to represent addition. And some of the most popular words are sum, the sum of two numbers, that means we're adding. The total of two numbers, that means we're adding. All of these words are going to imply addition. The word plus, increased by, more than. Those are the more popular ones. There might be a couple others out there, but those are the most popular ones. So if you see those words, just know that we're going to be adding something. Some words that will mean subtraction, or words that imply subtraction. Kind of the opposite of what's going on in the other column with addition, because subtraction is the opposite of addition. Difference, the difference of two numbers. You might just see the word minus. Decreased by, that's a popular one. Less than, that's a special one. I'm going to put a star by that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute some more. But that, if you do see less than, that means subtraction. So, well, I tried to correct my writing, but less than. And then subtracted from, that one's very similar to less than. That one's special too. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. But if you see those words, that's going to imply we're going to be subtracting something. There's some words for multiplication that are very common. You might just see the word times. Maybe product. The product of two numbers means we're going to be multiplying. Of. 3/5 of a number means 3/5 times that number. Twice a number, that means doubled it. You're going to be multiplying it times 2. A number doubled, that also means multiplying it by 2. Or even maybe tripled. That's sometimes you see that. A number tripled, that means multiplied by 3. All of those words mean multiplication. Didn't list it here, but multiplied by. You could see that, multiplied by. What's another one? Division. Let's see. The most famous one is quotient. That's the more common one, I should say. Quotient or divided by. That's about it. Take half of something or a third of something. If you take half of something, you're dividing it by 2. If you take a third of something, you're dividing it by 3. So those are some words that would mean division. But most of the time, it's going to be quotient or divided by. Okay. Now, there's sometimes we see words that implies there's going to be parentheses in the expression. And really, there's two of them. Times the sum of, and then however you finish it. But if you see times the sum of something, then you're going to be multiplying two things that are being added together, and you would show that with parentheses. And I'll show you some examples in a second. And then the other one would be times the difference of. So if you see times the sum of or times the difference of, see there's two operations going on there. You're going to be multiplying something times something else that will be in parentheses. Either two things that are being added together, or in the parentheses you'll see two things that are being subtracted. Turnaround phrases, okay? Up here we put a star by less than and subtracted from because they're special. These are phrases where that means subtraction, of course, but we're going to turn around the things that are being subtracted. And I'll show you an example. But turnaround phrases would be the less than, which of course implies subtraction, and subtracted from, which also implies subtraction. Okay? So, for example, let's look at less than. If we went to the movies, your ticket might be less than mine because you're a student. Let's say my ticket to the movies was $10, and your ticket was 4 less than mine. If your ticket was 4 less than mine and mine's 10, well, how much would yours be? Well, if yours is 4 less than mine and mine's 10, 4 less than that would be 6. So how did we get 6? Well, we simply did 10 minus 6. Sorry, 10 minus 4. You did 10 minus 4 to get 6, your ticket price. So see how we took the numbers and we turned them around, but we put the subtraction sign in the middle of them? Okay? So those are turnaround phrases where we switch the order that when we're subtracting them. Okay? The order that they're given to us in the problem. All right, so let's look at some examples. So the product of a number and 3. Well, product already implies, let's see, right there, it implies multiplication. The product of a number, well, what number? I don't know the number. So when we have a number, an unknown number, we use a variable. And if it does not define the variable for you, you can use any variable you want or any letter that you want. So I'm going to multiply some number, we'll call it n, and 3. So remember, we always put the coefficient first, and we don't have to write. What I don't want to see is this. Don't use the multiplication symbol that you've used in arithmetic, because in algebra we use the letter x a lot, and I would confuse that with the letter x instead of a multiplication. So don't use that. You can write it this way. You can use the dot. You can use parentheses, but don't use the x. Okay. All right, the difference between a number and 10. Well, difference means subtraction. Well, the difference between a number, I don't know the number, so again, I'm going to use any variable. I'm going to use m this time. Difference, I'm going to subtract m and 10. Now, that subtraction was not a turnaround phrase. Well, that should say subtracted from. Okay. Number 4, let's look at that one. That one says subtracted from. 4 subtracted from a number. That's a turnaround phrase where we're going to switch the order around, which means I'm going to put the 4 in the back, and I'm going to put a number, whatever number, I'm going to use x this time, and represent it like that. That's a turnaround phrase right there. That's one of those special ones. Subtracted from and less than. All right. Let's look at number 3, the quotient. That was division. Quotient of a number and -5. And we can show the division with the fraction bar, and that's what I would prefer. You can also show it like this, but I would prefer the fraction. Number 5, the sum of twice a number and 7. Well, that means I'm going to be adding. Twice a number was multiplication. So twice a number, I'm going to be adding twice a number, twice some number, I don't know, I'll use w this time, and I'm going to add that to 7. Okay? Let's take a look at some of these on the back side. Four less than a number. Oh, that was one of those subtraction ones. Sorry, less than. That was one of those turnaround. So the 4 is going to go in the back. 4 less than a number squared. Squared means that's the exponent, remember? And you don't have to use n, you could use anything you want to. All right, I'm looking for an example. I'm going to create one, so bear with me here. So let's try this example. 6 times the sum of a number and 7. Well, there's your multiplication, but wait, here's addition. And if you look, this is going to be one of those parentheses ones. 6 times the sum, I'm going to be adding, and then anytime you see this, look for the words after the sum so you can see what two things you're adding together. Well, I'm adding a number and 7. What's a number? Well, any number. I'll use y this time. So see how that is representing 6 times the sum of a number and 7. And I'll show you one more of these parentheses. If I do -5 times the difference of a number and 11. So -5 times the difference. Well, that's subtraction. What am I subtracting? A number and 11. Use the variable c then. See what this says? -5 times the difference of a number and 11. Okay. Now, if I wanted to go the other way and I wanted to write, if I had a problem that said, if I wanted to write this out in words, I would just say a number y plus 7. So you see what I'm doing is now if I give you the expression, how do you turn it into the sentence? If I said this, and I wanted you to write this out in words, you would say 4 times x minus 10. If I asked you to read that to me, you'd say 4x minus 10. And that's about exactly the way that I wrote it. But you'd have to show this multiplication. So 4 times x minus 10. And that's a sufficient answer. So being able to write the algebraic expression based off the verbal phrase, and then also being able to write the verbal phrase if you're given the algebraic expression. That's what this lesson is about. Week 3, lesson or assignment 6. Good luck.